Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Thank you so much for dropping by this channel. And, I start off almost every meeting with those very words. And I sometimes ask myself why. Maybe you're wondering. One of the reasons is because, you know, Bruno Groening said that we're a divine creation and divine marvel. But what does that mean? Um, well, There's a lot of ways to look at it, but I just think of those words from the Bible that we were made in the image and likeness of God. And Bruno Groening said the only necessary thing is that you attain self knowledge or self recognition. So if we can fully grasp this about ourselves, fully grasp that we are a soul and grasp our nature, if I'm understanding Bruno Groening correctly, that's the only necessary thing. And so everything else that Bruno Groening teaches, again, if I'm understanding Bruno correctly, is to lead us to that recognition that we're a divine creation, we're a divine marvel, that we are a child of God. And wouldn't life be different to walk around and every person we see that we see something sacred, that we see something divine, that we see something that makes us go, wow, for every person. That's the way to live that I'm striving towards, and I'm very convinced that's what Bruno was trying to teach us. So, something that can really help us in that process, help us of seeing the divine in others and being able to see the divine in ourselves and recognizing who and what we are is this beautiful, beautiful, simple practice of receiving healing energy. It's very simple. Please sit with your legs uncrossed, feet flat on the floor, hands on your legs, palms facing upwards. Back in an upright position, not stiff, but also not slouched. And then please close your eyes and now hand over all burdens, all worries to your understanding of a higher power or to a spiritual helper that you trust. Every negative thought, every situation that we don't feel peace about, handing those things over, all the hurts from the past, all the fears from the future, about the future. And now, having handed these things over, please think of something that brings you great joy, that makes you smile deeply. And then either say a simple prayer such as, please God, please Bruno, help me to receive the healing stream, or very simply, activate your will, your desire to receive this divine energy. And observe your body, noticing what you feel while having the will, the intention to absorb healing energy for it. Handing over every negative thought that comes as we observe our body with the intention to take in this good energy. Noticing what you feel, drawing in this energy with our will, our intention to receive it, and with our faith, taking in the good, If you're new to this channel or this video, I invite you to continue doing this practice. I'm going to talk a little bit, but you can continue to observe your body. You can even sit with your eyes closed. So I'm going to read a little from the book Powers of the Spirit, and this is one person's experience, Alfred Hosp, with Bruno Groening. So previously, Freddie or Alfred had seen Bruno once, and then here's Freddie continuing. The following weeks were thrilling and full of incident. My healing process with all its side effects took an ambiguous course. On the one hand, my kidney function was very quickly back in order again. The symptoms disappeared, and even the numerous flecks in my urine, which for weeks had indicated the presence of an inflammation of the kidneys, vanished forever. The painful arthritis, which had already been affecting my right knee for many years, so that it was difficult to move and had swollen to almost double its normal size, receded entirely within a few days. My right knee looked normal again, and since then, that is, 51 years, it has been completely problem-free. On the other hand, I had to go through the unpleasant disturbances to my health, which I only realized much later were side effects of the healing process. Bruno Groening called this atypical kind of complaints readjustments, in German Regelungen. They made their appearance when the body is being brought out of its previous illness or disorder through the divine power and restored to health, which is also called order. As this occurs, the deposits and toxins that have built up are dissipated and eliminated. Bruno Groening said regarding this, what doesn't belong inside must come out. So, the way I heard it is that Regulungen, or readjustments or realignments, are if anyone has fasted, in the first couple days of a fast, you feel very yucky. Or not always, but you can, as all this gunk is getting flushed out of your body. And that's my understanding of what Regulungen is a temporary flare-up of a symptom where something gets temporarily worse during the healing process. Now, some people say that everything is Regulungen. For example, if you like let's say I'm out for a walk and my ankle starts to hurt, and some people say that what Bruno taught is that's just Regulungen. But I don't believe that's accurate. Here's something else. Here's something else that Bruno said about regulations. This is on page 110 of the book Powers of the Spirit. What doesn't belong in a body must come out. That is, wherever the good sets to work, evil can expect nothing more there and must give way. Every readjustment occurs like this. The healing process always runs its course in this oscillating or wave like way. The only important thing is that there is an overall sense of ascent or improvement. That is, the next crest of the wave must be higher than the one before it. But when an afflicted person has an oscillating condition like this that goes on getting worse, this is not a readjustment, but the effect of the evil that continues to spread in the body because of the incorrect attitude of the person concerned. That is why it is so essential that you always pay close and careful attention to your body, so that nothing that is not good can lodge itself there. So, once more, when the condition of someone's health oscillates or moves in ways in an upward direction, it is a readjustment that leads to healing. All other developments arise from the incorrect view and ideas and have nothing to do with the path to God or with his healing current. Oh boy. That's another common thing that I've heard is, for example, um, let's say I'm struggling with depression. That's not something I'm currently struggling with. And I like, okay, I hand it over to Bruno Groening, and then, but I stay depressed. And then many people say, oh, well, you've handed it over, so that's just Regulungen, what's going on. Well, actually, no. Only if over time it gets better. Or if there's a sharp spike, like let's say I hand it over to Bruno and then I get more depressed than I've ever been and then come out of it. That's an example of Regulungen, a temporary worsening or an overall improvement. Then yes. Otherwise, if let's just say I hand it over to Bruno and I tune in, but nothing really changes. The depression kind of stays the same. It's not actually accurate to call it Regulungen, at least according to what Bruno Groening taught. Regulungen is the healing in process. Um, so let's reflect on all this. That the healing path, if we're on the healing path, there's an upwards ascent. Both, I believe, in general, but also with a specific condition that we're seeking to heal. Taking in the good, just handing over everything not good. Really observing the body. Really taking in the good. firmly resolving to just separate ourselves from everything not good and asking for the willingness to change and grow and learn. So, in this example I just gave, what would that depression be? Like, let's say someone hands it over to Bruno and it doesn't change. We don't want to call it the illness anymore. We don't want to call it depression anymore. So, how to think of it? Well, I don't know what Bruno Groening advised in such a circumstance. Personally, I would just call it um, some evil that I haven't been able to let go of yet. And then I would just straight up hand it over every time I think about it. Um, you could also call it a lesson I haven't been able to learn yet. Bruno pointed out that such things only occur to serve as a point of learning or as a reparation for something from the past. That's another way I look at it. It's like, okay, I've done some wrong things and thought some wrong thoughts in the past, and this is the consequence. How can I how can I let it go? What can I learn from this? Those are some ideas I have. If anyone knows exactly what Bruno said on this topic, please do post some in the comments section after this video. Bruno Groening called this the path of sanctification, of being um, sanctification. It's not a word you hear very often. It means making holy, making sacred. So let's sit for a few minutes and reflect. What is regulation? What did Bruno say about it? What is our understanding of it? Let's reflect on it. Everything that's not good must come out because we're on the path of being made holy. Taking in the good. So, why are we in this process of sanctification? Well, Bruno Groening said God is in every living being. That means the divine lives inside of us. And my understanding is that we're just in this process of aligning our soul with God, and hence aligning our life, and hence aligning our body with God. So please see if that's just kind of my own understanding of what this is all about. See if that resonates for you. while while the worship of Jesus Christ is very popular in Christianity and has been from the beginning, in the very early Christianity, what Christians believed was what's now called theosis, the process of becoming more and more like Christ or more like God. And that is actually what Christ came to teach, was to teach us how to, in essence, be more like Christ, in essence, be more like God. The Eastern Orthodox Church, historically, in my understanding, the oldest Christian church, still has that idea and doctrine right at its center. And isn't that what Bruno Groening called us to? Not in those exact words, but he said, "I want you all to become masters of life." And he also said, well, I think I'll read it. It'll take me one moment to find it. It's not readily available, so I'll just do it from memory. And he said, "Please understand or know, dear friends, that I am just your friend and just a servant of God, which in fact you are too, which you can be, which you are too, yet you just don't believe. Please believe I am just an instrument of God, which in fact you are, if you just do it." This is a very bad paraphrase, but the essence of it is um, so this is a process, my understanding, of becoming more like Bruno Groening, more like Christ, and in essence, becoming more like our Creator. Now, I'm not saying to become God, but to become more like our Maker. And hence, Bruno Groening called us. He said, "Consider every word and every sentence that you speak and every thought that you take in, whether it is worthy to be taken up, and consider everything quite carefully, whether you have acted properly. Call yourself to order, meaning to God." So the word order, Ordnung in German, I think a better translation is harmony. Order sounds a little too rigid, a little too human. But harmony, balance, you could say sacred order, or natural order, or divine order. In essence, what Bruno Groening said right there is, look at your thoughts, look at your words, look at your deeds, and anything that falls short of being godly, of being sacred, you need to let go of. Call yourself to order, he said. I'll just read it again. Call yourself to order, meaning to God. Now we need to stay humble in this process, that we need God's help, and we need a helper such as Bruno Groening, who's, I believe, completed the journey, who is a master of life, to lead us along on this journey. And, Bruno Groening didn't come to just heal illness. He came to awaken our deepest spiritual aspiration to truly become servants of God and instruments of God. And for me, Bruno Groening and Christ are prime examples of that. Bruno didn't come to found a religion. He called us to a way of life, which I believe is exactly what Christ did. He didn't, in my understanding, he didn't come to say, "Hey, worship me," but he came to show us how to live. So let's reflect on all this. An instrument of God, a servant of God, the early Christian doctrine of theosis that's still alive and well in the Eastern Orthodox Church, the oldest Christian church. Bruno's words of wanting us to become masters of life, that we are servants of God and instruments of God. We just don't fully yet believe. We're just not fully doing it yet. These are Bruno's words, and these are, of course, my understanding of what Bruno said. But please don't believe, certainly don't believe me. Find out for yourself. And Bruno Groening said not to believe him, to find out for yourself. So let's reflect on all this for a few minutes as we take in some more healing life energy. Noticing what you feel. Becoming aware of our thoughts, saying yes to the good, true ones, and no to the ones that aren't good. It's something that I don't like to say, and yet it's what I understand Bruno to be teaching is we're either moving towards God or towards evil. Like it's here. There's no here in the Earth School. It's not like just getting by. And my understanding is actually headed on a downwards path. And Bruno points out that it's not linear. That he called it an oscillating wave. If we're moving if we're moving in the direction of the good, of harmony, of God. And it's uncomfortable to say something like that. And I think part of why it's uncomfortable for so many years, I thought I was moving closer to God, when actually I was very much headed on a gradual downhill path. So the Earth School is beautiful, but it's not easy. And it can be evil is quite vicious, which is one of the meanings of Bosse. The German word that gets translated as evil is viciousness. And so we'll begin our closing. We've covered a little ground today. We've looked at what did Bruno Groening mean by regulation? And sadly, there's some people who share a very different idea of what Bruno taught, what he meant by regulation. And I'm so grateful to have found this book, Powers of the Spirit, which really clarifies a lot of key issues. And we looked at why regulation is happening. What is cleansing? Why are we cleansing? Why are we being sanctified? Well, Bruno Groening pointed out that God lives inside of us and called us to bring every aspect of our life, every thought, word, and deed into alignment with that. And to be what he called a master of life, and to be like him, to be like Bruno, an instrument of God, a servant of God. I drew the connection between all of Bruno's words and the early Christian doctrine of theosis, that was Christ's message. And that's what Christ came to do. Of course, that's just my conclusion. Please reflect. Please reflect for yourself whether that's whether I've connected the dots in an accurate manner or not. And then part of this process is reflecting on ourselves, reflecting how we behaved, and reflecting on who and what we are. Because Bruno Groening said that in the end was the only necessary thing to come to self-recognition. He never explicitly said, and self-recognition is ... But he gave us many teachings that point us in the right direction. And I'm very grateful, because I don't believe what he meant by self-recognition or self-knowledge is a piece of information. I believe it to be more of a direct knowing of who and what we are. So let's sit for a minute or two. Continuing to take in the good. Being mindful of our thoughts and vigorously discarding the ones that are untrue, that don't feel good. Wow, we're just finishing up, and a warm welcome to Uta, who used to come to my chat room meetings. Very grateful that you made it here, Uta. Hi. All right, so dear friends, let's ask, please, for the highest and best for everyone who attended today. And Please, please, God, please, Bruno, for everyone who watches this video, the highest blessing. Please, for all the visitors to this YouTube channel, please, for all the friends of Bruno Groening, please, for all those on the path of Christ, please, for all those who are striving for the good, please, for everyone and every endeavor to carry forward the work of Bruno Groening. And please, God, please, Bruno, guide us, each of us as individuals, how we can carry this work and this energy forward. For Mother Earth, let's ask. For every living being on this earth, let's ask. And let's take on absolute faith in the triumph of the good and that the good will prevail here on this earth. Let's ask for unshakable faith and let's do our part to build that in ourselves. Thank you so much for joining in, everyone. Warm welcome. Uta, nice to have you join us. And a God Tag, a God Day to everyone. Thanks so much, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. Look forward to seeing and feeling you very soon.